Weather. Some may not consider it when thinking of level design, but could we use it in a useful way in our levels? In this video, we're going to be talking about using weather to convey emotion and mood as part of a series on level design tools and techniques. My name is Geedy McD. When designing a level, paying careful attention to the weather can give the designer a tool to help create mood and emotion subtly. This is a technique that has been used in other mediums for a long time. The idea is that we can take control of the weather to convey the mood of the scene. A scene that is going well may be set on a sunny, warm afternoon. A scene where the main character encounters a setback may soon be encompassed by rain. Wind can refer to hardship or turbulence in the plot, or the mood of the characters. Drought could reference a lack of morals. Fog could be uncertainty in a number of things, or it could be some element of the level closing in around the player. We can reference times of year, like spring for a resurgence of hope, or winter for an opportunity to lick our wounds. And because we are talking about games, we have the option of using even more bizarre weather potentially, like radiation storms, acid rain, or anything that you can think of that won't seem silly to the player. This technique is subtle, and when used along with other level design and narrative tools, can help convey a much more powerful mood in your scene. It also adds a variety that will naturally follow the pacing's ups and downs, so that each level of your game doesn't feel samey. Let's have a look at some examples to help illustrate this point. If we throw a lens over Infernal Place, Chapter 2 of Uncharted 4, we can see this idea of weather communicating emotional and narrative intent to the players. We start the chapter here in this yard fight. The sun is shining bright and everything is cheery. This may be because it is the middle of the day, but it may also be because the plan is going swimmingly. For you see, Drake's intent is to get thrown into solitary. Later we see the guard Vargas taking Drake outside and letting him climb up an old ruined part of the prison. This is what Drake wants to happen. So once again we see that the weather is cheery and sunny as Drake makes his way up the tower to search for clues that may lead to a pirate's treasure. Although we can see some dark cloud off in the distance. Put a pin in that. Later in the chapter, the plan goes south as Vargas, who was initially just being paid off for his role in the prison, catches wind of the main character's plans and threatens them with violence unless they agree to cut him in on the treasure. This comes to a head quickly as Vargas is killed by Rafe, throwing the plan into disarray and rapidly leaving Nathan Drake's altruistic comfort zone. The characters must now escape the prison without being killed. Their plan is a mess. They are being shot at, so tensions are high. And so it makes sense that when we emerge from the buildings, we see thick cloud has rolled in and the weather is dark and overcast, matching the narrative and emotional tone. As we progress towards the end of the chapter, we catch hints that the wind is picking up and the weather is turning, rustling trees and airborne debris. These foreshadow the emotional peak of the chapter, where Sam is caught by gunfire during the escape and falls from the side of the building. We see the last portion of play in this chapter having a heavily muted soundscape and swelling music as the player runs through weeping trees towards this dark band of cloud to finish the chapter. So in review, this chapter used sunny weather to show that everything was going well, cloudy weather to imply a change for the worse as the plan goes astray, and strong winds to sell the emotional turbulence Nathan would feel over Sam being shot. We can also observe this phenomena of weather conveying emotional tone in a vastly different kind of game, the futuristic military shooter Call of Duty. In Call of Duty Black Ops 3, the mission In the Darkness has the player journey through a ruined portion of Singapore, with an impending superstorm looming. The initial objective of the mission is to locate and destroy stolen intel before it leaks out to the world, compromising CIA operations globally. This time pressure is mirrored and intensified by the approaching superstorm. Initially, the level starts fairly heavy, with the player being shown that the 54 immortals undergo people smuggling, and a graphic scene of 2 civilians having a nasty run-in with explosive collars is shown to the player. The dark tone fits well with the rain and the dark skies. As the player moves closer to the objective that is on the shoreline, they encounter more intense weather that heightens the sense of urgency, such as these heavy winds and these tidal waves. After arriving at the boat containing the intel, the wind and water is so strong the player is prompted to change into a vision mode specifically for areas of low visibility. The boat is rocking all over the place in the waves, leaning into the peak of the narrative intensity and continuing to sell the tension of the moment. The intense section is capped off by the superstorm winds, pushing a tanker towards the player, which eventually tears the boat the player is on apart, and also functions as they ride back to drier land. Now that we have dealt with the intel for the first objective, we see a narrative tone and tension shift, where the superstorm becomes less relevant from here on out. This is a varied example, because we have weather fulfilling a narrative purpose in presenting a time frame for the story, as the intel needs to be sorted out before the superstorm hits. It provides pacing intensity as the superstorm steps up the tension in the areas of the level, And finally, we get some direct mechanics in the form of strong winds and tidal waves that we need to use the anchor for. What other weather in games can you think of that is used to create mood? Drop them in the comment section. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit like, and I'll see you in the next one.